sir, it's your boy Dubs Daily, and this is part 3, the final part to the carbon fiber hood restoration. As you guys can see, I'm just wiping down the hood with a microfiber cloth, just making sure it's free of any dust and debris, as it's been sitting in the shop for the last couple days, and I want to make sure that I'm just working with a clean surface. After speaking to a couple people, like the specialists and a couple other people that have dealt with carbon fiber, they gave me a few pointers on how to proceed after doing the 800 grit wet sand, the 800 grit wet sand, and told me that honestly at this point I could kind of go straight to the clear coat and polishing stage, but I at least wanted to do just one quick wet sand of 1000 grit just to smoothen up the hood a little bit more before proceeding with the clear coat and then topping it off with the polishing. So of course, to start wet sanding, you want to spray up the hood completely with water and also spray the sandpaper that you're using and continuously go around the hood and constantly spray water as you're going around the hood. Now, mind you, I am in Canada. It is January and it is cold as shit right now. Carbon fiber does not like cold. And also, of course, water freezes very quickly in the winter. So as I was doing this and certain areas were being left with water, the water started to freeze up on the hood. That's not good. So I don't know if you guys can see at the edges right there, that's the water freezing already. So I wiped it down after I did the wet sand, and then I later had to get my heat gun, as you guys see now, and go around the hood and heat up the frozen areas and continuously wipe down. And I try not to go too excessive with the heat and damage the hood more than it already is, but I managed to get everything done quickly and properly without any leftover water being on the hood to freeze up. Now, after you do your wet sand and wipe down, you want to start the clear coat process. And as you can see in that picture to the right, I use Rustoleum 2K clear coat. 1, make sure it's 2K, and 2, make sure it's gloss, because you want to get the best outcome. The 1K can is not going to get it done. 2K. As you guys can see, this is the end product after clear coating. The job is not finished, but this looks good as is, man. Like, look how pretty this is. I wish the hood overall was in much better condition because it would definitely look better, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna complain. If you guys see part 1, it's a big ass improvement, but even then, as I said, we are not done. But this is the clear coating stage, and now I gotta let it cure for at least 24 to 48 hours, preferably 48 hours, and then once that's done, then we get to the polishing stage. So I'll see you in the next day or two. So it is actually 3 days later, and we are back in the shop with the hood prompted on one of the body panel stands. Just giving it a quick little walk around after the clear coat fully curing, just to see what's really going on with the hood. Like when I freshly sprayed it, it looked amazing. Like you could see your reflection in it. But of course, after letting it cure, you know, it still looks a little but that's where the polishing eventually comes into play. Now I'm gonna show you there's some areas on the hood where it looks a little bubbly, like right there. That unfortunately was just due to water running off of the cans due to the spray cans being in a hot bucket of water, so that the spray is a lot more outwards instead of being more direct. But hopefully by the end of this, we're able to get those little spots out of there. So let's get to it, man. So you always want to make sure you're working with a clean surface. So just spray the hood down with some water and wipe it with a microfiber cloth. And then we can now move on to the 3000 grit wet sand, just to smoothen up the hood just a little bit more before moving on to the polishing stage. Now, with the polishing stage, I was having a lot of trouble keeping the hood still on the hood stand. As you guys will see, like there's a lot of times the hood's moving. I even got someone else's help to like shift it or try and hold it still. I was not prepared for how strong the Orbital Polisher would be with the hood being on the hood stand. And that led me to taking a lot longer and then polish drying up on certain areas on the hood. And that led to me using another type of cleaner to try and wipe off the dried polish and then making the whole hood look hazy again in certain areas. And this caused me to backtrack a couple more steps, and because I ran out of time in the shop that day, I had to wait a couple more days to get back in the shop to try and finish off everything. So just give me a couple more days, hold on. So instead of fighting the hood on the hood stand with the power of the Orbital Polisher, I decided to uninstall my shitty hood and install the carbon fiber hood, just so there could be a lot more stability instead of having to worry about it shifting all over the place. So there you go, got the hood installed. Yo, honestly, this looks so good. But anyways, as you guys can see, the aftermath of my shitty polishing job, the hood is very, very hazy right now. So I'm gonna try and correct all of this by backtracking a few steps, going with the wet sanding and then trying to repolish. So as far as wet sanding goes, I went all the way back to using 1500 grit sandpaper and then moving up to 2000 grit sandpaper in attempt to remove the hazing from the previous polishing job. Now, if you guys saw earlier in the video when I was first polishing, my whole method was completely wrong. And a coworker came over to me as I was polishing and corrected how I was doing it. At first, I was trying to do the whole hood all at once, but he told me that you're actually supposed to do it in sections. So I did start to do that, and I did see how it was better for the hood, doing it in sections, first starting with compound, cutting compound specifically, or rubbing compound, and then moving on to the polish. Now here is the final product, and I want to point out that it is nowhere near perfect, but what I see in my eyes, it's 100% an improvement. There are certain areas of the hood that are still a bit hazy, and then there's other areas that are glossy, just like this front part of the hood where I can actually see my reflection. But another thing to point out is my plans for this hood is not to showcase the entire thing. I eventually do, like when I'm ready to wrap my car, I eventually do want to wrap the majority of the hood and then leave the vented or ducted center part of that hood and have the carbon fiber exposed. But to be honest, would I prefer the natural gray carbon fiber look? Probably, yeah. But in my eyes, for my plans, is it worth going through all that trouble to try and get it back to its original look? Not necessarily, because I want majority of the hood covered. It really doesn't have to be perfect to me. I'm completely fine, me personally, with how it looks. But if you want to compare how it first looked when I got it to where it is now, it's literally night and day if you ask me. Like there's a big improvement there. So with that being said, this is where I'm now going to end the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this little 3-part series of my hood transformation. And yeah, you guys stay tuned for more videos. You guys know what to do, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share, follow me on Instagram, dubsdaily__. I got major plans for this car, so let's see what I could get done for this year. Stay tuned. I'm out.